get into it. I honestly feel bad for the men of this generation, the younger guys, like in their early 20s, in their early 30s or whatever, and say they don't have a very prominent career, such as like in finance, because I used to work in finance, so I know how much finance men really make in investment finance. That's what I'm talking about, okay? That's where we used to work. I know those men make upwards of 200 and something plus $1,000 a year, okay? Not every man will make that amount of money. And if there is men that make that kind of money, it's very limited, okay? So I think it's so crazy that this young ladies of this generation is expected for a man to make $300,000 plus in a major city. You get what I'm saying? To take care of a family and all that. Not every man is going to make that amount of money. A man nowadays barely making $45,000, especially if he's black. I really think women are asking for a little bit too much for men. And y'all gonna be mad, but I really don't care because y'all need to hear the truth. Sometimes I honestly don't blame our men for going out and dating other races of women, because let me tell you something. I grew up around those different women who came from very rich families, extremely wealthy. I'm talking filthy rich, probably richer than what you probably think. My parents had me surrounded by those kids, had me surrounded by those. Y'all don't even get it. Y'all think finding a man that rich, that has a legit career, legit, in STEM or something like that, where he's making over 150 grand, okay? Y'all really think that's an easily accessible man? No, they're not. If you didn't grow up doing horseback riding classes, if you didn't grow up doing cooking classes, my mother had me in cooking classes with all the little white kids.
Welcome back to the channel, and you see the information on the screen so you know what I am about. So I found this really great video from Alexis out on the Tickety Talk, and I thought this would be really interesting because I kind of, liked some of the things that she was saying in it, right? So as you all know, let's get into it. So the very first part of it, when she was just basically talking about the money side of it. So, I talk money all the time. I'm always talking about statistics and different things like that. And there's definitely something in the air when it comes to, a lot of the women and the modern women. And I really honestly think it's social media. Because like I told you all before, you show me your social media and I'll show you your future. Because your social media is trying to line itself up, honestly, with your thoughts, your feelings, what it thinks you're going to do. And then it never really gives you anything different to challenge you. Instead, it constantly feeds you the same things over and over and over again. Like, even with me, I kind of laugh sometimes because I remember a long time ago, somebody put in the comments and they were saying that, a lot of my content lined up with a gentleman called Medium Man, right? And I actually went and I checked him out, and to try to find out exactly what he was saying. And the guy in the comments, my comments was basically saying I was kind of like Medium Man, except for I was more of a Christian version of him. And then, as I started to even look at, because YouTube lets me know who you all are watching. And it was so interesting because almost everybody that you're watching lines a lot up with me. They tend not to be, guys that curse a lot. They tend to be guys that are a little bit more balanced, and different things like that, which was very interesting, to me, to try to figure it out. And again, this is exactly, what I'm talking about. And let's be honest, a lot of these women are sitting around and they're watching this soft life broadcast BS, right? And they're believing that a man is going to swoop in, take care of them while they pretty much do nothing for the rest of their life. Some of them don't even believe that they're actually going to even be taking care of children, which is absolutely crazy because, as they've done polls, in fact, I was just listening to the news before I started recording this morning, and they were talking about over 50% of Gen Zers and even millennials really don't want to have children. It's not that they can't have them. They don't want to have them because they don't want the responsibility of them, or they just don't want the financial burden of them. So to me, that's absolutely crazy. So you basically have a lot of women that are in their 20s, because Gen Zers are in their 20s, and millennials will be right at the end of 20s right now, going into 30s. And a lot of these women are basically like, yeah, I don't want to do this. But then social media is encouraging them to kind of find a man to take care of them, So they're just kind of chilling for the rest of their life. And then the first part, again, what she talked about, the money doesn't line up. There are less than 20% of men that can honestly do this without taking a huge hit, okay, in the way that you want to live, right? And like I say, I'm not against a woman working. I'm not against, a woman putting in a little bit of money or having a side business that she can run from home. I'm always, wondering, why do men out here, even rich men, want a woman that sits around all day? It's like, people say, it's not in the Bible, but people say, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. And there is something true to that, because when people are bored, they're just sitting around doing nothing. Now a woman sitting in the house and the pool boy automatically starts to look good. The gardener starts to be attractive because she's bored. She just wants something to do. And it's not so much that she really wants to be bothered with these men. It's just she ain't got nothing to do. And if the man is making that kind of money, he's busy. And then that puts him in situations where he's more around maybe his secretary than he is around his wife. And like I say, a lot of men that are more instinct based, they just want to conquer women. It's not so much that they like the woman. They just want to conquer her. So all the way around, you're putting yourself in a situation where it probably ain't going to work out for you as well. So to me, having a woman sitting around the house doing nothing, I don't care if this doggone channel blows up and I start making $20 million a year. I don't want a woman doing that. Now it's different if she's working with the children. Like I said, because I have no problem with, a stay-at-home mom that is, actually homeschooling. And, I actually believe in homeschooling. So I have no problem with that. I have no problem with a woman that's cleaning up, that's making, cooking, 2 and 3 meals a day. I don't have a problem with that, because at that point, that's work. And that's a lot of work. Okay, so the next part about it is like the differences in women in different cultures. And see, this is the part, honestly, that saddens me. And I've talked about it on so many of my videos, because a lot of black women, they just really don't know, and a lot of black men don't know. And so if you're watching, you're brand new. If you have not been raised with, with both parents working it out in the home, for at least 15 years, so 15 to 20 plus years, okay, there's information you're missing. And you might not think about it that way, but that is what's really needed in order to really understand that relationship, how to keep that relationship strong, and how to really be married well. All right. And when you're dealing with women around the world, okay, that have been raised in that, they come in it differently. Right. And I'm not beating up on women here, because the truth is, it's the same thing with men. That's why I say it can go both ways. But there are men, to her point when she was talking about STEM, there are men out here that are in STEM. And if you don't know about STEM, that's basically engineering. Okay, so that's engineering, that's science, that's computer science. I'm actually in STEM. That's my background, in STEM. So you're talking about basically highly intelligent men that are very good at math. That's all it is, very good at math, right? And those men generally do pretty well. All right, especially by the time they reach 35, they're generally doing very well. Okay, so those men generally are the more nerdy men, all right, or intellectuals, or they tend to be more laid back in general, not always, but tend to be more laid back, right? So those men a lot of times get looked over by women. And I've talked about this over and over again, especially black women, because a lot of black women don't really understand their energy. They don't understand smart. They think smart is weird. They're used to men, around them in school getting C's, maybe sometimes B's, but rarely ever A's. But a lot of guys in STEM might have been getting A's and B's in high school and then went to college and actually made A's and B's again. So these are intelligent guys, really smart, and they're book smart, right? And so these guys, they a lot of women bypass them. It's not that these men they're not attracted, to a lot of the, black women out here. It's just that a lot of those black women ain't feeling them. And by the time they do start, really wanting to talk to them, generally in their 30s, a lot of these men have moved on, because there is a window of opportunity that opens and closes at all times. And that's kind of for everybody. But, in under 50, it really hits women a little bit harder than it hits men.
Y'all really think that's an easily accessible man? No, they're not. If you didn't grow up doing horseback riding classes, if you didn't grow up doing cooking classes, my mother had me in cooking classes with all the little white kids, all of them growing up, because their parents taught them that. Y'all are missing that when you are born to be, honestly, a housewife and to live that lifestyle, you have to grow up seeing those things. It's just not going to come to you without you seeing those things. Now, granted, there are some women that just, look up on a really high value, rich man. And, that's just not his money and things like that. It's a bunch of other components that go into it. You get what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, I honestly feel so bad for these guys, especially our men. Other men, I have friends of all races. Other men, they can make them a smooth 50K, 55,000, and their white wife will be so happy because she's like, well, I'm working too, and she takes so much pride into her man. And I feel like with black men sometimes, with this generation of girls, like the girl that got mad with the $30 for lunch, my man sent me money that same day. That same amount.
So I just want to say this really quick, and I think for some guys that watch me, because I know there are a few red pill guys that watch me, and honestly, this is actually starting to move over all Western women, and I think a lot of the red pill guys are probably watching the videos to know that, because the white community is actually complaining about this as well. Which that's why I always say it really has very little to do with it being a black problem. It has more to do with it being an education problem, and also this problem of just desire. Everybody's out here and they're trying to get what they think is the social media awesome, wonderful life. And one of the things that I've always talked to you guys about is the power of media, right? And media is advertisement. And the more you watch something, the more you crave it. The more you think that you can have it. The more you think that, this is your world. This is what you can do as well. And I'm not here to try to stop someone, from living their best life. But you also have to be very realistic with it. And one of the things that, like one of the only real tenet that I have, on this channel is about marriage. And if you're really thinking marriage, you can't come in thinking, oh, I want to be lazy, because marriage is not for lazy people. Marriage is for people who want to give their life away. Okay, it's not for selfish people. See, selfish people are what cause divorce. See, if you are a giver and then you marry a taker, or vice versa, you're a taker and you marry a giver, more than likely there's going to be a divorce in the future. Unless, the giver is giving in a way in which they feel that they're getting something worth something back to them. So, for example, I talk a little bit about single moms on this channel from time to time. And, I told you all, single moms do get married. But you have to kind of look at all the factors when they get married, what's going on, because every situation is different. So I do know a young lady, and she was, like I say, a former model. She's a former actress. And, like I say, here in Atlanta is not too many men that would have said that she was anything less than an 8.5. I don't know too many men that would rate her less than an 8.5. She's well over a 7. Okay. And this woman, has a couple of kids. And like I said, I know her, been knowing her for a while. And boom, 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 recently she got married. And she is in that attractive place where the guy she married, I'll be honest, when I was looking at him, I was like, why she marry him? Because he doesn't seem like he really walks with that energy that she walks with. But see, that's the whole point. There's a guy out there, in her particular case, there's a guy out there that he's just happy to be with her. He's just so happy to be with a beautiful woman. And so he's okay with dealing with her children. He's okay with dealing with her past. He's okay with dealing with all that kind of stuff, because what she gives him is beauty. And even if she only gives it to him for the next 10 years, she gives it to him for that amount of time. And so you always got these guys that are willing to do that. You always got women, on the other hand, that are willing to, take care of a man, because what the man gives them is maybe he's so attractive, or maybe he just knows how to talk to her, or whatever it is. Okay. So you always kind of have that going on. But, for the guys that are informed, and even for the women that are informed, hopefully they'll make better decisions, because generally that is going to send you down a path of divorce in the future. Okay, I don't know how well those people will be doing in 20 years, but, we will prayerfully believe, that they can find a way, to make it work.
And I went to Kava and I ate there for lunch and I ate it for dinner because I don't eat that much no way. Okay? It's just like y'all are expecting men to make more than what they actually will make in the black community. If we're gonna be real, if he's not in the top profession, he ain't making a lot of money. People just need to find somebody that they love and forget what people tell you and just find who you love and be happy with that person. Stop trying to be like somebody else. Stop trying to live the life that you see on social media, because sometimes that ain't even realistic. Okay? I think y'all just need to give the person that's in your lane a shot, because sometimes people try to go outside their lane, and I'm gonna be real with you. That ain't gonna work. You need to stay within your lane and stay within the men that you can date. But I don't know. I just thought about that, and I'll never treat my boyfriend like that.
So again, I agree with her at the end, and I've always, encouraged you all to do that as well. Stay within your lane. And when I say that, I'm not saying like the literal lane, because, you can go a little bit to the left or to the right, because like I said, there's always situations. And even when you start to deal with, things based off race and culture, sometimes you hopping over, doesn't mean necessarily that you're outside of your lane. It just, it's always different strokes for different folks. And then you always have that whole thing, your mileage, may vary. Now, for the main title that she had was, she said, I feel bad for the men of this generation when it comes to dating. And honestly, I see where she's going with that title. But at the same time, I really don't feel bad, because there's so many things that the informed man and the man who really understands himself and what he brings to the table can do, and until it's pathetic, right? I mean, we live in a society now that a smart man, and when I say smart here, I'm not talking about, book smart. I'm just talking about really street smart. So when you go out there, you can get women. Like I've said before, and I actually had somebody in the comments recently that I think they didn't quite understand what I was saying, or maybe that was their first video watching, because they were trying to act like I was pushing a narrative of, that good men couldn't find women. And that can be further from the truth. I've always believed that almost everybody, can get their person, as long as, they stay, close to their lane. Like I've told you all before, when I am out here and I'm meeting women very close to my lane, they will jump, they will hurdle a car, in order to get over and talk to me. However, when I start to talk to women that are kind of outside of my lane, or they don't quite get my flow, at that point, that's when those women are just kind of like, I don't really know, right? And so that's one of the things that I've always talked about. Most people, right, if you're out here, both men and women, if you date the people that like you and find really great people out there that like you, then you're generally not going to have a problem. And I actually don't think most people really have a problem finding someone. A lot of times when I see videos where you'll have a woman, it's generally a woman, and they'll have, they'll say, oh, well, I haven't dated since I was 25, or I haven't dated in 3 years, or I haven't found anybody. I always want to be on their shoulder. I always want to be that, that little fly on the wall, the Jiminy Cricket, on their shoulder, because I want to see what they're doing. I want to see, why couldn't they find somebody? And I bet you 9 times out of 10, there was something in their, in their life that's stopping them. And like I've told you all before, I've literally run into women and talked to women that have not left their house in a month, like literally within 30 days. And that's why I'm always encouraging you, ladies, get away from DoorDash, get away, from Amazon. And when I say Amazon, I'm not saying they can't bring you food and stuff like that. I'm just saying you need to get out. You need to go to the grocery store. And when I say go, I'm not talking about coming to the parking lot and let the people put the groceries in your car. Stop doing that. A lot of thinking people, okay, so y'all know I talk about the personality types a lot. A lot of thinkers, they do that because they really don't want to be bothered with people, especially the introverted ones. All right, stop doing that. Get inside the store. Okay, now if you got your man, then you can sit outside in the parking lot. But Other than that, get your butt in the store. All right. And try to go to the grocery store at different times if you can. I know some of you try to go around, your jobs, evidently trying to go in the evening, when you get off work, but try to go different times. Try to go different times on Saturday. Try to go different times on Sunday, because you're going to meet different types of men in those different places. And the same thing for the guys. You got to try to go in different times to find your flow. Now, like I said, every place is different. Here in Atlanta, I've heard, we joke around it over here. We talk about club Publix, right? So if you're in Atlanta, you know what Publix is. And we talk about going to club Publix on Sunday after church, right? Because there's a lot of people in Publix after church. Now, as soon as I said this, now it might be a flood. It really might be club Publix, but it's just one of those things that, for you to think about when you're out here, looking for your person. But like I said, I don't really feel bad, even for the Gen Zers, because the Gen Zers that know what they're doing, they're going to have all the women that they want, because, and that's one of the things, I feel more sorry for the women that are Gen Zers, and young millennials than I do, for the men, because even though I do know a couple of Gen Zer men, and I'll admit about 60-70% of the Gen Zer men I know, they're not where they need to be. But of the ones that I do know that are where they need to be, that they were fully prepared, for life, oh, they're killing it. And they have so many women that are chasing them until it's pathetic. So if a man is out here and he's doing what he needs to do, then he's going to have a decent amount of women. Now, like I said, I've told you guys, always, be concerned about your look, be concerned about your energy, be trying to take everything to 10, always be okay with practice, and then that is going to help you. But anyway, I liked a lot of what she had to say. Again, there's a lot of information in that description. If you're brand new, please like, please subscribe, and I'm going to see you all in the very next video.